So many reasons. نعم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. As you see, we have company here, our kids are here and we have to accommodate them. But we're still talking about the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and we said we are going to talk about the hijrah today because the last thing that Abdullah read was, where's Abdullah? والبيعة الأولى مع 12 من أهل طيبة كما قد ذكر. Now, this is where we stopped, and then البيعة الثانية 50 أتى 70 في الموسم هذا ثبت من طيبة فبايعوه ثم هجر. This is where we stopped. من طيبة فبايعوه ثم هجر مكة يوم 2 من شهر صفر. So this is summarizing to us the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, the migration of the Prophet ﷺ, and the last halaqah okay. Bear with me. So we talked about the bay'ah al-aqaba al-ula and al-thaniya. The tragedy that happened between the Prophet ﷺ and the people of Taybah, and we talked about also Taybah, the original name of Medina, Taybah and Yathrib. And the second also, al-bay'ah al-aqaba. So now right after they agreed, because it was number one big responsibility upon the people who will receive the Prophet ﷺ, people of Medina, and it was also a big risk for the Prophet ﷺ to leave his place to go to Medina. Both the risk upon people of Medina is the potential attack. They might be, because Quraysh was also stronger than Medina. They were stronger than Medina at that time. And the other thing is, people have betrayed prophets before, inviting them and killing them. All these things happen. So the Prophet ﷺ, he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. So it was two risks. But these people, they need to give us a reason why the Prophet ﷺ did not migrate from the Bay'ah al-Ula. From the first year, he did not. Because he wanted to make sure that he want to double check and verify the ground. If these people, what they're saying, it is the way the ground is or not. So this is how he sent Musa ibn Umayr to go to Medina and to make sure that people of Medina are taking Islam in their heart, not just the people who came to Bay'ah al-Aqaba al-Thaniya, but they are seriously willing to protect and defend the Prophet ﷺ. As they said, one of the agreements in the Bay'ah al-Aqaba al-Thaniya was, we will defend you, Ya Muhammad, with our wealth and our souls. Our souls. فَنُدَافِعُ عَنْكَ بِأَمْوَالِنَا وَأَنفُسِنَا. We'll protect you with everything that we have. Our wealth and our souls. That's a very big responsibility. To give the person that promise means that you will die for them. You will lose your wealth for them and for his cause. And the Prophet ﷺ took that from them, and he said, then I will wait, because there was no ground for him in Mecca anymore. There was no hope for the people of Mecca to accept some of that money. So now the Prophet ﷺ had to leave Mecca and go somewhere else. And the place that the Prophet ﷺ was directed was Medina. One of the things prior to the Hijrah that knowledge has confirmed based on the previous scriptures is that a prophet will come in Medina. A prophet will come from Medina. A prophet will come, but it wasn't mentioned exactly Medina. But the description was very, very clear in Jazir al-Arab. In Jazir al-Arab. The description of the palm trees in Medina was very detailed in the previous scriptures. And also, their lakes that they had around Medina, where the water is, was also described in Medina very clear. They said, this place, a prophet will come here. A prophet will come here. So this is why the Yahud, they migrated. The Yahud, they were never origin of Medina, never. So that was the reason why they migrated, because within the Yahud, there were people, there were tribal fights between them. And each tribe was saying, we will wait for the final prophet to come from us and we'll defeat you all. We'll defeat you all and you all going to be under us. So it's not just willing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but wishing the victory for that tribe. So that was the reason why they migrated, and they all agreed with their ahbab, with their scholars, that a prophet will come in Medina. A prophet will come in Medina. So this is how Bani Qurayza and Bani Nadir and Bani Qaynuqa, they migrated from the Arab al-Sham to the Jazir al-Arab. So this is one of the information that came. So it's not a coincidence that the Prophet ﷺ just migrated to Medina. But it wasn't based on the Prophet ﷺ's knowledge. It wasn't pre-planned by the Prophet, or that plan, or the knowledge of that plan wasn't given to the Prophet ﷺ. No. It has to happen for the Prophet to know. If that was the reason, then the Prophet would be worried. Will that be? Will that be worried to find other people? He went to Taif. If he knew Taif did not work, he might not go there, right? So he is just doing his effort based on his experience, his knowledge, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had planned for him. So this is how he said, Mus'ab, he is narrating. He said, when I went to Medina, I did not leave any house except the note of Quran entered it. I did not, and this is not, it doesn't mean that everybody in Medina accepted Islam. But كان حكم على الغالب. He just took the majority. It means that most of the people of Medina accepted Islam before the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. So Mus'ab, he will send information to the Prophet ﷺ how far he is, how prepared the ground is, and the Prophet ﷺ, you can come at any time. Medina, people of Medina, they are ready to receive you, they are ready to welcome you, and the promise that they give to defend you is not just you, but the messenger that you have here for them also is highly regarded and respected and also honored. So that was a fact. So then the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام لمثل هذا القرار لا يتخذ بنفسه. This great decision, he cannot take it in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hijrah is ibadah. Hijrah is ibadah. And there's a principle in usul al-fiqh that أصل العبادات التوقف. The origin of ibadah is التوقف. Is do not worship. That is the origin. Do not worship till Allah tell you to worship. In another way, that's the reason why bid'ah is very dangerous in Islam. Because of bid'ah is considered worship. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the origin, the nature of a ibadah, of a worship is do not do it. That's the origin of it. Till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said do it. And if Allah said do it, He will give you a way of doing it. So hijrah is part of a ibadah. That's the reason why if you take that principle and apply it in all ibadah that you will do ibadah except, as they said in Kitab al-Kutub al-Malikiyah, al-Mubtadi'ah, they said, لا تعمل عملا أبدا كل وجهي حتى تعرف حكم الله فيه. كما عرف ما أسمعي أو أسمعي المقدمة. لا يجوز مكلف أن يعمل عملا حتى يعلم حكمه. حتى يعلم حكم الله فيه. You, a mukallaf, should not do a worship till they know the ruling of Allah in it. How Allah wants that action to be done. That means that al-asl fil ibadah tawaqquf. Al-asl, the origin of any ibadah, before you do it, you stop till you find the instructions from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do it, yes. And if Allah said do it, He wants His own way of doing it. And you do that way. If you don't do it that way, you're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your own. Does Allah want it? You don't know, because He didn't give instructions to do it. So then the Prophet ﷺ cannot, and look at the Prophet ﷺ. He was under attack, but he cannot go. He cannot go. And somebody will come to you with a bid'ah and say, oh, I saw a need for it. Yeah. If there was a need to perform a bid'ah, then there was a need for the Prophet ﷺ to act on his own and go for hijrah without asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he waited. That emphasizes that every ibadah that you do, if that ibadah does not have a proof from the Quran and from the Sunnah, أَيًّا كَانَتْ تِلْكَ الْعِبَادَةُ وَمُؤَسِّسُ تِلْكَ الْعِبَادَةَ فَهِيَ بِدْعَةٌ. Regardless of the ibadah or the kind of the ibadah, is going to be an innovation. And the Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ في الحديث الصحيح. Every innovation is a misguidance. بالمناسبة, we always say in the minbar, كُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. And my last khutbah here, somebody came to me and said, no, not كُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. I said, I didn't say it. Is it Prophet who said it? He said, no. I said, Sahih Bukhari Muslim, go find it. And he kept quiet. I said, this statement is being repeated too much. You think it's not a hadith. It's a hadith. كُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. كُلُّ ضَلَالٍ فِي النَّارِ. There's an authentication problem here. There's a ziyada. But كُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ is a statement authentically narrated in a form of tawatur. حديث المتواتر هو الحديث الذي رواه أكثر من 70 صحابة. More than 70 Sahaba narrated the hadith. So I said, just go to Sahih Bukhari Muslim, go to the chain of the hadith. It's authentic, it's not from me. I love to condemn bid'ah, but I cannot. That is, okay, it's a hadith. So al-muhim, the Prophet ﷺ, ما كان له أن يبتدع في دين الله. He cannot commit an innovation in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one afternoon, Jibreel came to him and told him, Muhammad, قَدْ أُذِنَ لَكَ بِالْخُرُوجِ بِالْهِجْرَةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded you to go and leave Makkah. And two things that we have to put in consideration. Even though the Prophet was under pressure, but he loved Makkah so much. This is the land, the place that he knows. This is the place he was born. This is the place he grew up. Everything he knew in Makkah. He traveled around, but he only traveled to Sham twice. Which Abdullah? Oh, there was some says there. He only traveled to Sham twice before he became a prophet. One time when he was 12. وذاك في عام 12, right? When he was 12. And the second time when he was 25. لأمنا خديجة متجرة. A business trip for Khadija. So that was not, he didn't stay long in Sham. So that means that everything that he knows was in Makkah. So till he became 40 years, this is where he knew. Do you think he will just like that? No. And you know exactly, we're all immigrants, you know how it feels to leave home. We always have that, ghurba feeling. We always have that loneliness sometimes, leaving our homes. So this is how the Prophet ﷺ was in Mecca. Even though you may leave your country, by force, or your place by force, but your heart is still with your country. وَقَدْ صَدَقَ الْعَرَبُ لَمَّا قَالُوا الْإِنسَانُ ابْنُ بِيئَتِهِ. Right? نعم. أو في علم النفس أو في علم المعرفة. قرأناه من زمان. أين نقرأنا؟ علم النفس. I asked it a long time. They said, ما تفسر ذلك؟ أليس ابن بيئته؟ Huh? No place like home, right? A person is belonging to where, I don't know. A person is a son of the environment, right? Now Ahmed is here, he's so young and he's complaining his knees there and there. I think maybe if he was in Egypt now it wouldn't happen.
No, he doesn't know what Egypt means. He's from Madison.
Dunya. So then Jibril came to the Prophet ﷺ. But now there was a prime meeting for the Prophet ﷺ, or against the Prophet ﷺ. And we talked about that. Quraysh, they said they went to the lowest of lowest plan to try to kill a prophet. That is the worst thing that can happen. And they decided, actually, they hesitate to do that. They do not want to do that. Not just prophets or anything, but to kill somebody who's that famous, number one, who's that good, number two, and who's from a very strong and respected tribe, number three. All this, what they said, whatever happens, let it happen. So they came with a plan, and Allah narrated that plan to us in the Quran. And the plan, finally, they agreed that they will kill him. But even though Quraysh are united into this, but they want to have a protection after doing this. They said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذْ يَقْتُلُ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُثْبِتُوكَ وَيَقْتُلُوكَ وَيُخْرِجُوكَ وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. So that will give us understanding of the nature of Medina. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was ever there, right? But Quraysh are planning. But actually, they are planning for the goodness of the Prophet ﷺ and for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes if you stand to fight the deen, you're fighting for the deen. Because you try to close a smaller door for Islam, a bigger door will open. So Quraysh, if they knew that if they can keep the Prophet in Mecca, they would have planned that. But then, in the afternoon, Jibril came to the Prophet ﷺ bil wahi. The Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Ya Muhammad, qad udhina laka bil khuruj. So, two things about this. One is to give the guarantee what is in the heart of the people of Medina. Who knows what is in their hearts? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they were people who hide something in their hearts against the Prophet ﷺ, سوف يكشف الله سبحانه وتعالى. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the green light to go to Medina because people of Medina were prepared. People of Medina were prepared by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to receive the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So this is how he went to his best friend. Because we know there was the Prophet ﷺ, he faced financial problems. After the death of Khadija, even before the death, when they were sanctioned by the people of Mecca, he was struggling financially. And so here, Prophet ﷺ, he went to his best friend who was still engaged in business and making profit with his Abu Bakr. He told him, Ya Rasul, Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was time to time look at the Prophet ﷺ, because he was one of the people who are aware of the Bay'ah al-Ula and the Thaniya, and they agreed upon, and everything he was aware. Not every Sahaba was aware, but Abu Bakr was aware of everything that is going on. Because Aminu Hadi al-Ummah, Abu Ubaidah, but Sadiq Hadi al-Ummah, huwa Abu Bakr. So he was the right hand of the Prophet ﷺ. So he was time to time preparing to be with the Prophet ﷺ in his great journey. So, Abu Bakr, his business, he gathered everything he had and he put it in one place. He put it in one place. And this narration is reached Darajat of Hassan. So he put everything he had and he prepared 2 camels in case of emergency. It's the reason why when the Prophet prayed for it's great. So he came to him and he told him, Ya Abu Bakr, qad udhina li bil khuruj. And I was commanded to leave to Medina. He said, As-suhbat ya Rasulullah. He said, can I go with you, Ya Rasulullah? He said, yes. But in some narrations, he said, I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about that. And he came back to him, or he kept quiet for a while, and he said, nah. And Abu Bakr said, that was the most exciting moment in my life. This is a very risky, trip. It's running away, literally. It's running away from Quraysh. So then they had their plans. The detail of the plan was they didn't know exactly the detail of their Quraysh plan of this killing thing. But they had information that Quraysh, they are planning something, or they had a meeting, and it was secret meeting against the Prophet ﷺ. But the detail was not known by the Prophet ﷺ. So usually Prophet ﷺ, when he gets the green light, now he has the green light to decide when is he gonna go. So that night, the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't know that people of Quraysh, they came for his killing. They came to kill him. And they wanted to kill him this way. They will elect every tribe, they will pick one, the most strong person or the warrior in the tribe to come and involve in the killing, and they will all hit him one time, and his blood will spread in the tribes, in all the clans. And we talked about Khalid ibn Walid was elected, he was a kafir at that time, he was elected to be part of those people, and he kind of like sabotaged all the process. He said, I'm a man, I'm a warrior, I'm brave. I'd rather face him in the streets of Mecca and fight with him, face to face, rather than going as an army and hiding to secretly kill somebody. He said, it's a shame. He said, what history will tell about you guys? So he left. And they weren't happy, but that was the truth. That was really the truth. And even in Jahiliyyah with the hatred, they still have people who will not accept that low action in the society. So Khalid was part of that, and he didn't agree to join that. Then they came to the Prophet ﷺ. They wanted the Prophet ﷺ to come out because they know he will come out Fajr time and go to the masjid, do his tawaf, and pray Fajr. The Salat al-Fajr was prescribed at that time, and Salat al-Maghrib al-Asah or Salat al-Isha al-Asah, 2 Salat. So when the Prophet came out, he saw the Quraysh, a big number, everybody's having arm, and the Prophet ﷺ, this narration, there's multiple ways of this narration. The first is authentic. They said the Prophet ﷺ, he took the sand and recited Yasin ila qawlihi ta'ala wa ja'alna min baynihim saddan wa min khalfihim saddan fa'aghshaynahum la yubsirun, and he threw it on them, and they all went to sleep. That narration is not authentic. That narration is not authentic. Because Allah, the Prophet did not narrate that, and that was so important, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not mention that in the Quran. And we said, and the ulama, the argument they use is that the Prophet ﷺ, yes, that happened to him in Badr. In Badr, he took the sand, the soil, and he threw it on the kuffar, and they were blind, they couldn't see anything, and that was a big victory. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the Quran, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. You didn't throw the sand on them, but that was done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِتَجْرِيدِ الْفِعْلِ عَنْ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. So the actual action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take it from him. The actual action was done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the other narration is, yes, in his name, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he comes out, he recites the Quran, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or he was reciting the Quran in his house, and he came while reciting that. Before he came out, they were all asleep. They were all asleep. and he took sand and he put that on each one of them for them to know that he didn't go through the window. Actually, he passed over them and he put sand. This hadith is a hadith jayyid. It reached the darajah of hadith that can be used. So they will slip. Who made them slip? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But to prove to the people of Quraysh that this was done, and the Prophet alayhi salatu went through them and he put sand on each one of them. He went and made tawaf and met the Prophet and they left Fatah. They left. When they were leaving, the Abu Bakr had an idea. Because if they leave right now, Makkah is not a jungle. It's very hard for people to hide. And if they climb the mountain, they can easily see the person coming from all over. So they had a plan to go to the cave. Who knows the name of that cave? Who knows the name of the cave that the Prophet ﷺ was hiding with Abu Bakr? Hira? Ghar Hira. We'll verify that. Now, how many ghar do we have in history? Ghar Hira and Ghar Thawr. He changed his mind. Right? So, where the Prophet was when Jibril came to him for the wahi? Ghar Hira. So how the Prophet will be in Ghar Hira when he was hiding? It was opposite direction. This was here and this was in this area. Huh? Yeah, can you change your mind, right? Ghar Thawr. So Ghar Thawr was known by people of Mecca towards Medina. But not everybody goes to the Ghar because it was a big hole inside, and actually it was able to go there. And the Prophet ﷺ, had a plan. So number one, if we go out, is very soon the sun will come out, and they will search us. There's no way. Because number one, the Quraysh are waiting the news for the death of the Prophet ﷺ, right? What close that door? Because they have their plan, and it was a very well planned, and everybody was sleeping, and in the morning they would all wake up and go to the Kaaba and start hearing the news one after another. That was the plan, right? So now, while they were sitting, the women who goes to the market during the morning and buy things to cook, they saw a whole entire army laying down, sleeping and snoring maybe. Snoring wasn't mentioned in the hadith. But sleeping, of course, when people, soldiers are tired and sleeping, somebody among them will snore. No doubt about it, right? But this is just from me. And when they came and they said, what? Because the women don't know exactly what's going on today. What is going on? Hey, what are you guys doing here? And everybody maybe just get up and think that it's Muhammad. What is wrong going on? And they woke up and it was embarrassing. Because the plan was so embarrassing. First, it was so low, and now the way it came out was so low also. And it was embarrassing. And when somebody is so embarrassed, they don't care anymore. So Quraysh, they didn't care anymore. They said, that's it. آخر الدواء Al-Hagie. That's it. The pain has to be felt. We have to feel the pain. That's it. The K, you know the K? When they do the iron. When they iron you back in the days, that's after now they have to go to that. So they said, now they're going to put, now Muhammad is gone. They went to his house, but one thing I missed. So But then when the Prophet ﷺ was living, he called Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali and the Prophet ﷺ, they used to live in the same house. In the same house. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he started making money, he took Ali radiallahu anhu from Abu Talib because Abu Talib was poor, but to help, take somebody. And he's the one who suggested his uncles to take the sons of Abu Talib so they can help him, unload his load. So he called Ali, and Ali, he is the first who accepted Islam from the young people. He accepted Islam before he reached the age of puberty. Ali radiallahu anhu. That's why they call him, which is not authentic narrated. No one called him that name in the Sahaba whatsoever. Karramallahu wajhahu. That was done later. They said, لماذا؟ لأنه لم يسجد للصنم قط. Right? Then he never made a sujood for Salam. Of course, so many Sahaba also happened. But this is a name that was given to him, but later on, but wasn't even in his life. So, what we know is Ali, was something was given to him, but we have no problem with that. We have no problem with that, and it has. So, he called Ali to be on his bed and to take his also blanket. So when they see, just to save to buy time, maybe when they wake up, they may see somebody in the house and they still wait and think that it's the Prophet while the Prophet is buying time to go. So when they were leaving, they consulted, they made a consultation for a plan. As you know, the Prophet was the smartest when it comes to social life, when it comes to even war. He was very, very, very smart, or the smartest, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So they made a calculation. If we leave right now, what should be our final move? How is things going to be? They said, if we leave now, they will catch us. So the first thing, Abu Bakr, he went and hired a guy who wasn't a Muslim. I'll pay you enough money to tell us exactly what will be the most complicated route to Medina. And this was a shepherd who knows the road very well. And he paid him money in advance. This person was a Kafir, but he kept the promise. He never betrayed them. So now he told them, we'll move, but our first stop will be in Al-Hagie. Then Abu Bakr called Asma, one of his oldest daughters, Asma, Aisha's sister, to go with them. With their, we used to have a lot of sheep. So when they're moving, the steps, because it was all calculated in a very short period of time. So when they move, the sheep will move after them so they can erase the footsteps. Because Quraysh will follow them and will do everything possible to make sure that they catch the Prophet. So Asma radiallahu anha followed them, and she was very young. But herding the animals, and went with the Prophet till they entered the cave. So going and coming back, we erase all the footsteps. So in the morning, breaking news. What is the breaking news? The Prophet is nowhere, Muhammad is nowhere to be found, and our, what do you call them? Our mercenaries.
Why is that snoring?
Yes, our mercenaries were snoring in his house. Abu Jahl, he was asked. He said, what happened? There's a narration about Abu Jahl and Abu Sufyan. Hind bint Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan. He asked, she said, I never knew that Makkah doesn't have men. Makkah, ma fi Makkah rijal. I never knew that Makkah doesn't have men till today. That's pretty insulting. Hind, she can poke men. Yes, and she led a lot, but she became Muslim. I never knew that. And that, if you say that to the mayor of Makkah, actually you're killing him alive. What are you talking about? He said one person one person is gone. Only one person. All of you. All of you. Where is he? We'll find him. Go. We'll never find him. You see, if you see Abu Sufyan and what he did and what he was doing, there was a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure on Abu Sufyan. And don't say, how the, you say, Asamanillah. You say, Asamanillah. So Abu Sufyan and Abu Jahl and all of them, they wake up and they put a price. They start putting the price. Till it authentic, till it reached to 200 camels. If anyone brings the Prophet hayyan aw maytan with his friend. So now they know that Abu Bakr Muhammad left, and he left with Abu Bakr and there's no sign for them. They searched Mecca, all Mecca, nowhere to be found. And that's it. They said, let us go. And they went everywhere. Everywhere on Mecca. Yeah, just like $2 million. I would drive a lot of camels. $2 million, really, right? And 200 camels was a lot. Okay? What do you want? Well, that's making me uncomfortable. I want to see you. Can you see that? See that? So, the Prophet they stayed in the cave. So, people went everywhere. Everywhere. And they said, you know what? Only place that we did not find, we did not look is the Ghar. There's a narration, it's not authentic. They used to, the Quraysh, it's verified, but it's not authentic. They said they used to accuse the jinn staying in Ghar Thawr. So, when they talked, they said, the Prophet can't go there. But Quraysh themselves, they said, he's a prophet, he can be protected by the jinn. So go and look at that place. So this is why they went to that place. Another narration said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent their ankabut, the spider, to go and do the house and all those things. Actually, it's not a narration. But what we know is that the Prophet ﷺ went into the cave. That cave was known as a dangerous cave. Of course, it was dangerous. Because when they went and they said, Abu Bakr, he said, before you come, because Abu Bakr, his focus was whatever danger to happen, then it happened to him. Before the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet was about to go, he said, no, let me go and fix everything. And whenever everything is done, you come in. You come in. And some ulama, they dislike that narration. Because when Ali he said, when things are tough, we all go behind the Prophet ﷺ. So here, you either translate in two ways, that Abu Bakr he wanted to protect the Prophet ﷺ, but he is not braver than the Prophet ﷺ. This is no doubt about it. So either you make that justification, or you only depend on how they authenticated the hadith, that the hadith is authentic. But we know that when they went in, there was a snake inside the cave. So Abu Bakr he was concerned of the holes in there. I don't know how many of you went inside the cave, but you will find a lot of holes that are scary holes inside. And the snake, they like those holes. So now that snake actually that snake bite. What is it? Passing bite. Bit. Inside the cave. I'm authentic narrator, and he used to say, I still have this the poison from the snake. So yes, that happened. that happened. And the narration said that, and that narration also has weakness in it, that they said that the snake was there for a long time. And there is a narration that Kathir got also is hard to authenticate that the snake was there since time of Musa alayhi salam, but also has weakness in it. But I don't know, the snake was there for a long time ago. And some narrations also said, I'm doing also narration because when people say these stories, they don't care about what's happening. And also they said that the Prophet was sitting and the snake wanted to see the Prophet ﷺ. This narration is narrated. So Abu Bakr was blocking the snake from seeing the Prophet ﷺ. So the snake is upset and bite him, and that also is not authentic. But we know that he was bitten by a snake in that cave. You know, some narrations said that they killed the snake, and the Prophet ﷺ said this snake was here for a long time. But that the snake was in time of Musa alayhi salam, and all those things, we didn't find any authentic narration, but they are narrated in Kutub al-Siyar. They stayed there. So when they were there, the first day, nothing happened, because they didn't see any sign of their footsteps. But they did not, because it was Al-Hagie, they didn't have enough food with them. So the next morning, Asma took food for them. Asma took food for them.
He gave me a headache.
Okay, sing, go to you. I'm not going to go for you. You have no idea what I said.
That's not.
Huh?
That's not very cool.
Now, so the next day, Asma was bringing the food. So that's why they called Asma, and when Asma was very smart, and that's why she had the nickname of that Al-Hagie, right? So when you have food early in the morning, going out, that's very suspicious. That's why they call the Al-Siyar, they describe, they compare Asma, the smartness of Asma, and Musa, and Musa's sister. He said, وقال لأخته قصيه فبصرت به عن جنب وهم لا يشعرون. Musa's mother told Musa, go and find out. Let's find out how can we get in touch with Musa. They said, فبصرت به عن جنب. She looked at Musa on his side like somebody who doesn't care. And she said, I think it's a lady there who may help. If she emotionally react, she will suspect it. She will suspect it. So she was very intelligent. I'm not sure. They cannot suspect her. What are you talking about? I think I don't know. She might not. But if that was out of Atifa, people of Fir'aun, they were very smart. So they said, okay, let's try that one. So Asma did similar thing. Taking the food early in the morning with your sheep, it needs something that will not wait in the red flag. So she had like they call it the one with two belts. So she would tie it here. The women back in the day used to have these belts that they used to tie, and it will hold their abaya, right? So she cut her, on the top, her belt into two. So she tied the food from the inside on this side and the other on this side. So when she's walking, she's not holding anything. She's like a regular shepherd. A woman who's moving, and it can be the belt is big or whatever, but it's how she took this food. She cannot have anything, but that is very dangerous. Okay, your father is people are coming to your father and Muhammad, and you having food, why do you eat the food? And she will face torture by Quraysh because they don't care at this time. Yes, I will take it. Now they saw her early in the morning taking them by the animals, and they said, okay. But they look, there's no. So they asked, they said, I'm just taking care of my animals. Of course, if you are a good shepherd, when your animals they sleep all night, early in the morning, if you somebody who wants to sleep, in the midday or in the morning, you take them early in the morning. At that time, if you have grass, it's kind of wet, so they combine two things, the grass and the water. So they wouldn't need water for the rest of it, for like tea, almost like in the afternoon. So when they come home, they'll just lay down. Because their food in the early morning, they have also water. So that was also known by the shepherd, right? The good shepherd. So she was a shepherd also. So she said, I'm just normal, I'm tired. I'm stressed, I want to relax, but I don't know where. They said, okay, rest, okay, you're free. But the price is so high, so they follow the animals till to the cave. To the cave. But she will do the same thing. She will make sure that her footsteps also are covered are wiped by the sheep. So there's nothing suspect. But then they said, no. So, people of Quraysh, this shows how this important was to them. At the end of the cave, they saw footsteps. Yes. There's no footsteps, but at the end, they saw footsteps going into the cave. They said, anything can happen. He might jump, anything can happen, but he is here. Yes. Okay. So, no distraction. I'm going to come back here, please. So, they said, they have to be here because number one, Quraysh, that place, nobody will cross that place. So, whose footsteps are this? It has to be somebody who's so brave and they cannot rule out the Prophet Muhammad because he knows that this person is not like anyone of them, right? So this is what brought coming to the cave. But they did not like the cave. They did not like getting close to the cave. So you see what was the reason why they get close to the cave. And now they came. They came and they started looking. So now they came and they said, he is here. So they came, and I don't know if anyone visited Al-Hagie. We did. You visited it? Yeah. Try it when you go to market. Try to visit it. Did I go ahead? So try to visit. You see, the cave is kind of high. So if you stand in the steps going to the cave, you kind of, like if you lean inside, you will see all of it. Inside. If you lean inside, you will see inside. But if you stand here, you will just see the sides of it. But if you lean, you will see inside. All of it. Nothing can hide. They came and they look. And the Prophet and Abu Bakr is there. He said, Ya Rasulullah. He said, if they just move their heads a little bit, they will see us. He was scared. Very, very scared. Because the whole army is looking for you. Nothing. Like, this is where they came with all their assassin. People with thirst that they said, oh, it was the spider came and did the house there, and the bird came and then have quake and have the bird and have the eggs and all those things. There's no narration whatsoever. It's authentic. All these narrations were investigated. All of them were ahad mawdu'ah. Not just da'if, but ahadith mawdu'ah. Al-Muhim, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So at that moment, Abu Bakr was shaking. And the Prophet alayhi salatu put his hand on him. And he said, Ya Abu Bakr, هذا باثنين الله ثالثهما. He said, what do you think about two people? Only two people who are helpless and Allah is with them. Allah is with them. Allah is their third. Abu Bakr said, it's as if you give me the comfort of the whole entire world. I have no fear. And Allah narrated that moment. It was very important. Abu Bakr wasn't fear for his life, but it was fear for Islam. Because at that time, at that moment, everything about Islam was hanging on that cave. Everything. I'm going to do that. Because if they see the Prophet was dangerous. So Islam was hanging on that. So that was the fear of Abu Bakr, but also fear of death, because we know Abu Bakr, right? So it was the fear of Islam. What will happen next if they see us here? So that's the reason why sometimes when you do something about, even if you do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you always remember the ayah. Pain will happen to you. You're going to get frustrated, you're going to get tired, you're going to get hurt. But if that is done to you, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you just have to remind yourself of the strong. And do not be the one who will change because of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِذَا أُوذَ فِي اللَّهِ جَعَلَ فِتْنَةَ النَّاسِ كَعَذَابِ اللَّهِ. There are people, وَلَمَّ يَقُلْ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ فَإِذَا أُوذِيَ فِي اللَّهِ جَعَلَ فِتْنَةَ النَّاسِ كَعَذَابِ اللَّهِ. There are people who claim that they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if they're being harmed based on the belief, because of the belief that they claim, they will think that it's so painful that it's as a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, so here Abu Bakr was only focused on what will happen about Islam. Not about me, but about Islam. For that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrated in the Quran. He said in the Quran, إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ. So, فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ. So, you are helping here and there. It doesn't matter. Where things were so critical, no one was there. Because if you see Medina are waiting is Muhammad alayhi salatu. Everything is hanging here. That was the scariest condition in Islamic history, when the Prophet alayhi salatu was hiding in the cave. And everybody was looking at him. And they came to a point that he cannot go from any other end, but come out, and that's dangerous. That was the scariest place in the Islamic history, about our Islamic history. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَيَّدَهُ بِجُنُودٍ لَمْ تَرَوْهَا وَجَعَلَ كَلِمَةَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا السُّفْلَى. So this was the most important thing in Islam. فَجَعَلَ كَلِمَةَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا السُّفْلَى وَكَلِمَةُ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَا. That's it. So at that moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the kalima, the plans and the statements, all their plans against the Prophet alayhi salatu to become zero, to become nothing, to become low. Kalimatullah hiya al-ulya. Who was moving the kalimatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course, the Prophet alayhi salatu. So from there, and then he heard them, Abu Bakr said, I heard them saying, no one will enter this mountain alive. Come on, alive. Actually alive. If they are there, they're long gone, and we don't want to die inside there. Get out of here. Let's get out of here. And they left. So he stayed, and authentically he stayed, some say 7 days in the cave, some say 3 days in that cave. So it was not an easy process. Being in that cave for only a day. It's uncomfortable. Subhanallah. And the Prophet, Jazallahu anhu khair jaza. To be in that cave just for 1 day, 24 hours, is difficult. But he was there because of Islam for 3 days. And Radiallahu anhu was with him all the time. And Asma Radiallahu anha, the one that, whenever I mention Asma, so what do you know about Asma? What is the best thing you know about Asma? Asma, she is amazing. Asma, number one, she's always doing it. Every day, she'll bring them food in the morning, and she'll bring them food in the afternoon. Right? Number two, Asma, when all the Muhajirin went to Medina, the Yahud, they claim that they threw magic on the Sahaba and no one will have a child, and after a few years the old people will die and that's it, Islam will vanish because no one will inherit them. And Yahud, they were very famous in doing magic. So they said Saharnahum, we throw magic. After they did. And that started like really impacting the believers because no one is getting pregnant. No one is giving birth. Why anyone will give birth? They miscarried. And Asma is the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made to give birth. And that was a big thing in Medina. And she gave birth to Abdullah ibn Zubayr in Medina. And also, when Abdullah ibn Zubayr was killed by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Hajjaj killed Abdullah ibn Zubayr and hung him in Makkah, around next to the Kaaba, for 3 days and sometimes for 7 days. And Asma was very old and she was blind, and he sent to Asma and said, let Asma to come and beg me to bring the son down. So it shows you how Hajjaj ibn al-Thaqafi. Asma, that was Asma bint Abu Dhalaw, that was the sister of Aisha radiallahu anha. So Asma will go back and forth, and this solar, and I will end with this inshallah for next week. So then, the Prophet ﷺ, Asma was the coordinator between the contractor, the guide. So when they want the guide to come, whatever information that Asma will get from Mecca, when they bring the food, she will tell the Prophet ﷺ, and then the Prophet then Asma will go back and also just be like Musa, alayhi salam, and then also the information how they want the guide to come and where they want to meet and all those things. And she was the coordinator. So she played a big role in the hijrah. No one was except her till the time came they left the earth. And inshallah we'll do tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala.